vegetables, fruits, you include some nuts and seeds, and you either have no meat or just a little bit of the meat-based foods. So it's predominantly vegetable-based, plant-based foods.
Okay, so it's predominantly plant-based, so it doesn't mean it's 100% without.
Correct.
So, which brings me to the next question, and I'm sure you might get this question all the time, from people who wonder, what is the difference, what is the distinction between, being a vegetarian, being a vegan, and I've also heard of flexitarians as well, versus plant-based. What's the difference between all of these?
It's all meant to confuse you. You've got flexitarians, you've got ovo-vegetarians. Now, if you say ovo-vegetarians, here's the clue. Ovo means egg. So you're actually a vegetarian, but you include eggs. So if you say lacto-vegetarian, lacto means milk. So it means you include dairy products in your as part of your vegetarian diet. So there are some who are ovo-lacto-vegetarian. So these are all tongue twisters, meant to confuse you even more. But personally, I like flexitarian because it means you tend to be mostly vegetarian diet, but on some occasions you consume some meat products, but in a very moderate capacity.
Okay, so for example, if you're going out for someone's birthday and you want to be accommodating, then those are the times where you keep that little quota aside for any meat that you perhaps would eat.
Absolutely, because I think ultimately eating is a social activity. So sometimes when you're eating out and it's not possible to eat a completely vegan diet, then you become a little bit more accommodative. Yes.
Fair enough, that's a very good point. Now, I wanted to ask you, it was very interesting just now when I asked the crowd how many of our friends here are already plant-based. I was quite surprised by the number of people that actually put their hands up. So, why do you think Malaysians, or more Malaysians, could and perhaps should adopt more of a plant-based diet?
Yes. I think a plant-based diet now is a trending diet for good reasons actually. Number one, it's actually good for your health. And number two, it's actually also good for the planet. So there are a lot of good reasons why we should be eating more plant-based foods. And myself, being a dietitian, I definitely encourage people to eat more plant-based foods because there's a lot of health benefits to it. So it's good for your heart, it's good for your, it's also protective for some cancers. And for those people who are looking to maintain a healthy body weight, a plant-based diet is also very supportive of that kind of lifestyle.
Well, I'd like to ask you a follow-up question to that, and I'm sure this is also a very, very common question that you get as well. So if you go plant-based, are you still going to be able to get enough nutrients like protein in your diet for your lifestyle?
Yes, I think that is a very key question. A lot of people, especially now, adults, if you follow a vegetarian diet, as long as you make sure you have a good balance. I think one of the key nutrients which you'll be looking at is whether you're getting enough proteins. Because if you are consuming meat products, you get more than sufficient protein. You get ample iron and a lot of other nutrients there. Your vitamin B12 and all that. Now, if you go for a vegetarian diet, you want to look out for your protein intake, but if you don't take meat, there are a lot of other alternatives. You have bean products. Bean products are actually very good sources of protein. And then apart from protein, you also look at calcium. Calcium is also another nutrient which if you consume dairy products, it's a very easy source of calcium because it's very readily absorbed by the body. But if you avoid dairy products, you may risk not consuming enough calcium. Now, the average Malaysian, you should be aiming for about 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day, which actually means roughly about 3 cups of milk. But if you don't take that kind of, you don't consume as much dairy, then you might struggle to meet that requirement. So I think these days we have a lot of plant-based milk, so that's one way of getting sufficient calcium. And then apart from that, we also have things like tofu, and even some juices juices, like orange juice, are also fortified with calcium. And dark green leafy vegetables are also a good source of calcium.
So you can get more than enough protein sources and calcium sources from a plant-based diet.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Well, I have a question. If I were to, or let's say anyone here, would love to start a plant-based diet, what are some easy steps that we can do to get started?
Well, I think when people say, they want to change a diet, it sounds very drastic. So I think if you start by taking small steps, doing, let's say maybe you set aside one day where you follow a vegetarian diet. I think that's an easy step to do before you go full vegetarian. Like maybe you choose Monday. Okay, Monday I'm going to be at work, so it's easy for me to manage my work. I'm going to pack lunch, so I know what I'm eating to be under control. So doing something simple like that first, that might be
baby steps. One day, take it one day at a time. Fantastic. Well, you know what? I feel very, very thankful and grateful for you answering all these questions. But now I think if we can, we'd like to open this up to the floor. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, Choi Ho, who is here with us today, she's a dietitian, she knows her stuff, and if you've got any questions in regards to, leading a plant-based diet lifestyle, if that's something that you would love to adopt too, please feel free to put up your hand. If you've got any questions at all, we'll be delighted to take them to our media friends. Just state your name, your title.
I'd say maybe oats, because it's a good source of soluble fiber and complex carbohydrates. I'll probably choose a type of bean. For example, let's say some wing beans, so that I get some protein there. And they're also a good source of calcium and magnesium. So I have a cereal, I have a bean. I'll probably choose a nut. How about maybe an almond nut? Almond nuts, they are good sources of unsaturated fats. Good source of selenium and magnesium. And so we've got cereal, we've got a bean, we've got a nut. I'll probably choose a seed. How about chia seeds? I like chia seeds because they're a good source of omega-3. They are also a good source of protein and soluble fiber and a lot of other micronutrients. And fifth ingredient, let's see. How about maybe choose a fruit or a vegetable, any type of your favorite, yeah. And I think that will make it quite balanced. Because I think one of the key concerns about vegetarian diet, especially if you're following a vegan diet, is to make sure you get a good range of essential amino acids, that is the proteins. So having a good range of this type of vegetables and plant-based foods, you probably will be able to get a well-balanced diet.
Thank you so much for the question, Melissa. I think every almond latte as well, so that's already 2 of those ingredients that you picked. Alright, so do we have any more questions from the floor?
Is found mainly in animal products. So if you are following a strict vegan diet and you're not getting any animal products in, you're probably getting very little vitamin B12 in your diet. But if you take things like fortified cereals, where they've already added some vitamin B12 in it, or some tempeh, or some, what do you call that, yeast extract, these are good dietary sources of vitamin B12. You need about 2.4 micrograms of it, which is equivalent to, now if you're taking a meat-based diet, you're talking about 1 egg, 1 milk, that's sufficient already. So if you can consume some fortified cereals, you can consume some of these, like I mentioned just now, some tempeh or yeast extract, you might get some vitamin B12 there. Or alternatively, you can also take some vitamin B12 supplements. So these are some of the ways you can make sure you get enough vitamin B12 so that you don't become anemic. Because if you are deficient in vitamin B12, that's what's going to happen. You start becoming anemic, meaning a bit tired, breathless. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much.
Meaning you want to make sure the children get enough protein, good quality protein. And another nutrient you should be looking out for is calcium, because you're looking at bone health. You want the bones to grow, strengthen, and all that. So these are nutrients which you can easily get from plant-based foods also. So like I mentioned just now, good sources of protein will be like the bean products, some of the the nuts and seeds also have so you can actually easily get sufficient protein. Just make sure you get a variety of it. Don't stick to just one type of meat or one type of vegetable, because then you're limited to the same type of amino acids, so it's not the full range of it. So the key thing about getting sufficient protein is getting a variety of protein. And then the other nutrient I was talking about is calcium. These days, a lot of foods are also fortified with calcium. So like your plant-based milk, that's one way of getting getting some calcium there. And your tofus and some fortified grapes, some dark leafy vegetables, they're also good sources of calcium. I think it's actually not difficult. I think, okay, we are a multicultural society, so I think for the Indians, you find it's very easy to get vegetarian diet going. You have your dosas, you have your chapatis, and then you have your dals. So a good variety of foods. I went to India and I couldn't stop eating, and I was following a vegan diet there basically because there's so much choice. I love the food there. If you're following a Chinese diet, it's not difficult because there's a lot of tofu, bean products, and you can easily incorporate that into your diet. Lots of vegetables, and then even for the Malay diet, you can still get a lot of your tempeh. Your tempeh will give you your B12, your proteins there. So it is not difficult. Yes, it's possible.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please invite you all to please give on stage? I believe we'll be taking some questions from our media friends. So with that, we're going to...
our aspiration is to have products in our range that meet the needs of all Malaysians. We know that for a growing number of Malaysians, going plant-based or integrating plant-based as part of a more diverse diet is becoming important. So we need to be at the leading edge of this transformation. We have discussed the reasons why this is happening, and I think that when we put together all the experience that Nestle has around the world, our research and development capabilities, and then our knowledge of Malaysia, because we have been here for 108 years, we are excited that we can do this. And I think you will get the chance to try the products. So I think these are great ways of getting embarked into this plant-based journey. So I hope that you will enjoy.
It's a very...
First, I would like to thank our partner with Nestle with this fantastic new range of products. I think, first of all, understanding our customers' dietary needs and the ever-changing consumer habits is very important in our field, in our industry. So again, we honestly look forward to be able to cater to all the customers and consumers' dietary needs. But in the future, we hope to launch more and more new Nestle products together.
See, initially we are introducing these PET bottles, 225 ml, that I think they are selling at 3.5 ringgit roughly. So it's quite an affordable price range. And that's intended probably more for consumption on the go. But we also are introducing this 1 liter UHT that is best suited for in-home consumption. So in both you will see it's also at quite an affordable value proposition. So we think that everybody will be able to enjoy this product.
Thank you very much for your question, Adam. All right, any final questions?
Of course, Daya Grocer, but we really feel very privileged for doing the launch with you. And but progressively they will be rolled out across all channels in Malaysia. They will be available also online very soon. So when the price ranges I mentioned, the small bottle is on 3.5 ringgit, and the liter sells, correct me, 10 ringgit. Yeah, the 1 liter is at 10 ringgit.